The Biden administration hasn't given out final details of the plan just yet, but they say they could likely push the interest reduction piece of the plan this fall before the 2024 presidential election. It is a very charged issue, and right where I'm standing kind of represents the dichotomy people are facing when it comes to strengthening juvenile crime laws. This is National Harbor, the site that mayhem took place this weekend. Welcome to CBS Mornings. I'm Elana Mutnick. We begin this morning with breaking news of a powerful earthquake in southern Japan that triggered tsunami warnings overnight. Right behind me is where the tragic collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge took place. In a few weeks, Metro is expected to release its new Better Bus Plan, but there is no guarantee that the circulator replacement will be a part of it. This doesn't mean there won't be buses available. DDOT and WMATA are discussing the future of the DC circulator. Failing to abide by this law will cost you $110 and 1 point on your license. The fate of abortion access is once again in the hands of the Supreme Court. The people who used or grew up near the Key Bridge are still trying to adjust to the reality that an icon that took 5 years to build was gone in only 20 seconds. What looks like business as usual at Ace Logistics warehouse in the Port of Baltimore is anything but usual.
People that are depending on their livelihood for port and port-related businesses, they need money to help buy groceries until this gets back to some form of normalcy.
Alec Hajmahalis is co-owner of Ace Logistics. He has about 200 people on his payroll. What he doesn't have is enough work for them all since the Key Bridge collapsed.
We find busy work because we want to keep our employees employed.
Right behind me is where the tragic collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge took place. Some companies have already started laying off their workers, and while other companies haven't had to yet, there's no guarantee that they won't have to in the near future.
We're talking to our competitors, and they're laying off 30 people, 40 people, 50 people a week. If this turns into a 6-month or a year thing, I could see us laying off 50, 75% of our workforce.
Or worse.
Myself, my brother who owned this business, are both besides ourselves because it took a lifetime to get to the point that we're at. And we're remaining loyal to the Port of Baltimore, but we may have to explore opening facilities in other ports.
That is why Maryland lawmakers are rushing to approve funding and distribute money directly to businesses and workers whose livelihoods also collapsed when the bridge fell, using rainy day funds to pay affected port workers what unemployment insurance doesn't pay, and also to make low-interest loans available to small businesses. And with this promise, some hope for business owners like Hajmahalis, who are worried about paying their workers and saving their businesses.
We want to do everything we can to motivate them not to panic, not to leave.
Babies never die! Babies never will die! Pro-life is a lie!
Thousands of protesters gathered in front of the U.S. Supreme Court, some fighting to keep mifepristone easily accessible, which is one of 2 FDA-approved medications used for abortions nationwide.
Mifepristone has been on the market for over 20 years. It's been used by over 5 million women, and it's considered the basic standard of medical care by physicians.
We also use mifepristone to treat miscarriages. And so any restriction is just taking away the standard of care in treating common medical procedures.
These restrictions would apply to the entire nation, regardless of if abortion is legal in the state or not.
We limit this and we take and roll back on this, we're going to be creating more risks for women and non-binary people who have to get abortion and miscarriages.
Just as many rally in support of these restrictions, saying abortion pills are dangerous and deadly.
Women need to be informed about what actually is happening because they're just told they're going to have a heavy period when it's way more than that.
So I was told that the chemical abortion would be safe and easy, like a double period with some cramping, but that wasn't the case.
Elizabeth Gillette suffered a miscarriage 14 years ago after taking mifepristone and now suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder.
I was completely alone, and the thought that women are experiencing this today and could go forward experiencing this is devastating and scary.
Gillette says she is fighting for safety and believes that starts with banning abortion pills.
Because no one deserves to go through what I went through.
We have a crisis in our nation. We have a crisis in Maryland. We need laws. Why are drug dealers getting away with murder? Sell drugs, kill Americans, go to jail. Go directly to jail. Do not pass go.
The message from April Babcock to Maryland lawmakers is clear. She's pushing for a new bill that would put more emphasis on distributors of heroin and fentanyl rather than users.
No family should face this kind of horror at all. But certainly no family should ever hear that there's very little we can do to hold people who push this poison accountable with real and serious jail time.
Scott Bradfoot Sr., the father of one of the people who the bill is being named after, says it's perplexing. Dealers don't face tougher penalties.
I don't know how many lives this dealer has affected, but I do know Victoria and Scotty's law in place, this dealer would be in jail.
Different people, different backgrounds, different stories. But today everyone shared one thing in common. New legislation that goes after the person selling the poison rather than the person taking it.
These dealers are not getting high on their own supply. These are people who are purposely making money dealing poison that kills people.
A recent Gonzales poll shows Marylanders overwhelmingly support at least 10 years in prison for anyone convicted of selling drugs laced with fentanyl if the drug resulted in death. 82.5% responded yes.
Even though his dealer has had several arrests with fentanyl involved, he still smiles every day.
And lawmakers agree.
We're not targeting those who are addicted, who need treatment and support. We're targeting the drug dealers who are essentially committing murder with what they are doing.